Okay, now we've talked about nonmetals and metals. Let's talk about metalloids. Try to get this thing going. Metalloids. So in this periodic table, they're called semimetals, but it's all this red stuff right here. It's a little hard to circle. There you go. And so these are the least common types of metals in terms of the different types of elements. Or excuse me, the least common types of elements. There's only a couple metalloids, and kind of makes sense because they're halfway between the nonmetals and the metals. Okay, those are the metalloids. Metalloids are interesting. They're sort of what they sound like. They're sort of halfway between metals and nonmetals. So they kind of look like metals, kind of shiny. But usually don't conduct electricity. We're going to talk about why it's usually. Electricity. They are solids at room temperature. Okay. They, what was the other thing that they are? They are usually brittle. So brittle means they can snap easily. Like a pencil, you can snap it instead of it bending. That's what brittle means. Yeah, so they're kind of weird. They sort of look like metals, but they're not really metals. They can't really conduct electricity, but sometimes they can conduct electricity. And so in certain conditions, they conduct electricity. And that's why they are called, semiconductors. So metalloids are semiconductors, especially silicon, this one right here. Silicon gets used in computer chips. So metalloids are really important for computer chips. I don't really know exactly why you need semiconductors for computer chips. I just haven't studied that before. But I know that if we didn't have silicon, we wouldn't have computer chips. So let's look at an example of a metalloid. And that example is sand. So sand has a lot of silicon in it. So look, it's a very, very common element because there's so much sand on the earth. Okay, so if you can find some sand, you've got yourself a metalloid. All right. I think that pretty much covers it. Yeah, they conduct electricity. Sometimes they're used in computer chips. Metalloids are kind of interesting, even though there's not that many of them on the periodic table.